Hey there, fellow coin hunters and accidental millionaires in the making. Let me ask you something real quick. What if I told you that little quarter you tossed into the vending machine last week could have paid off your house? What if I said there's a coin out there that folks are literally throwing away without realizing it's worth more than a Ferrari? Yep, we're talking about the 1997 D Washington quarter. You know, that little 25-cent piece most people use to pay for gas station coffee or scratch off lottery tickets. Well, one of these coins recently shocked collectors by fetching a jaw-dropping $1.10 million. Today, we're diving deep into the world of this rare 1997 D Washington quarter. I'm going to tell you how to spot one, what makes it so valuable, the common mistakes people make when selling theirs, and I'll even share a funny little story from my own coin collecting journey that might just make you check under your couch cushions tonight. So grab your coffee, kick back, and get ready to become a whole lot richer in coin knowledge, at least at first. Let's rewind just a little bit. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932. It was originally designed to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday. Now fast forward to 1997. We were still a couple of years away from the state quarters program, which launched in 1999. So the 1997 quarter was kind of the last of the regular designs before the coin world got all state pride crazy. The Denver Mint, where the D Mint mark comes from, produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. So what makes one of them worth over $1 million? I'll tell you, it's all in the details, and now, here's the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Most 1997 D quarters are worth exactly what they say, 25 cents. Maybe a buck or two if they're in super pristine condition, but the $1 million one? It's special. Extremely special. Collectors and experts believe this coin was struck using a proof die on a regular circulation planchet. That's fancy talk for saying this thing was made with ultra-sharp details like a proof coin, but it was never meant to be a proof coin. On top of that, the coin has a double die obverse, meaning some of the lettering, like Liberty or In God We Trust, has slight doubling. You might see a shadow effect or ghosting in the letters. That's rare. Combine that with the fact it has razor-sharp detail, almost no wear, and came from the Denver Mint, which usually didn't produce proof quality strikes for circulation coins, and boom. You've got a once-in-a-lifetime coin. Alright, let's talk about how you can find one of these bad boys. Because yes, it's possible one is hiding in your piggy bank or stuck under the car seat. Make sure it's got that D right above the R quarter dollar on the reverse side. No D? Not the one. Use a magnifying glass. Look at Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. Any doubling? You might be onto something. Look at George Washington's hair and the eagle feathers. If they look unusually crisp and perfect, even better than the change in your grandma's coin jar, keep digging. If the coin still has that original shine, almost like a mirror, that's a huge plus. $1 million coin isn't going to look like it's been through a washing machine or spent 6 months in a gas station tip jar. Let me give it to you straight. Even if you find a 1997 D quarter with all those features, if it's scratched up, discolored, or worn down, its value drops faster than your New Year's resolution to eat healthy. Collectors are picky. If you've got a coin that might be rare, it needs to be verified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll rate it, seal it up, and give it that shiny label of authenticity. If you've got a coin graded MS67 or higher with those unique proof-like traits, you might just be looking at 6 to 7 figures. A few years back, I was helping my dad clean out his old garage. You know the kind, dusty tools, old lawn chairs, mystery boxes from 1985. And in the corner, we find this old rusted coffee can labeled Vegas change. Now, I didn't think much of it. But I'm a curious guy. So I started going through them, one by one, with a magnifying glass and a little lamp. I found a 1997 D quarter that looked weird. The lettering was sharp. The details popped. It was shinier than the rest. I sent it in to be graded, and though it wasn't the $1 million coin, it still came back valued at over $2,500. So trust me when I say you never know what's hiding in plain sight. Nope. They'll lowball you harder than a yard sale haggle session. If it's not graded, it's just your word. And your word doesn't get you $1 million check. Never, ever clean a coin. You're not restoring a car. You're destroying value. Even a soft rub can ruin it. People think listing a coin on eBay will bring in the big bucks. Not unless you've done your homework and know the right tags, images, and collectors groups. If you think you've struck gold, or in this case, silver nickel alloy, go slow, get it verified, and only sell to trusted dealers or auction houses. Here's something else to keep in mind. Right now, more and more collectors are on the hunt for rare modern coins. The market is hot. Really hot, because these coins are just starting to gain attention. For decades, people focused on pre-1965 silver coins. But now, era coins from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s are getting the spotlight. So if you find a 1997 D quarter with the traits we talked about, hold on to it tight. Because its value might not just be $1.1 million today, it could go up even more in the next decade. The next time you grab a handful of change from the counter or dig through that jar on top of the fridge, pay attention. That little 1997 D Washington quarter could be your ticket to financial freedom. It's not just a coin. It's a history lesson. A tiny piece of metal that could change your life, literally. And remember, look for that D mint mark, check the lettering for doubling, and never underestimate a coin that looks a little too perfect. If you want to keep learning how to find coins worth real money, stay one step ahead of the dealers, and maybe, just maybe, retire early thanks to something you found in your couch cushions, then hit that subscribe button. Seriously. Right now. Tap it like you'd tap on $1 million coin. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the ride, and drop a comment if you've ever found something valuable by accident. I read every single one. Hey there, coin hunters, collectors, and all-around curious minds. Welcome back to the channel where change could literally change your life. Imagine walking into a gas station with a pocket full of quarters, grabbing a coffee, and accidentally handing over one single coin that's worth more than a Lamborghini. Yep, you heard that right. Today we're talking about a little piece of metal that could be hiding in your kitchen drawer, your car cup holder, or even your grandma's cookie tin, the 1991 P Mint Mark Washington quarter that's worth a staggering $1.2 million at now. Before you run off to raid your coin jar, stick around because I'm about to walk you through why this coin is so valuable, what exactly makes it special, and how you could be the next person to cash in on it. And don't worry, we're gonna keep it light, informative, and I'll even share a personal story that still makes my wallet sear wide. So go ahead and grab your magnifying glass or your readers, and let's dive into the wild world of the $1 million 1991 P quarter. Alright, let's start with the basics. The 1991 Washington quarter isn't some rare ancient artifact dug out of the sands of time. It's a regular-looking quarter minted in Philadelphia, marked with a tiny little P right above George Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Over 570 million of these babies were minted. So what's the big deal? Why would anyone pay over $1 million for one? Because not all 1991 P quarters are created equal. Somewhere among those hundreds of millions of coins, a few left the mint with errors, oddities, or super high-grade conditions that make collectors drool. And it's those rare unicorns that are turning heads and breaking banks at auctions. Now here's where it gets juicy. The $1.2 million 1991 P Washington quarter wasn't just lucky, it's a rare combination of features. Some experts believe it was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was pressed on a blank meant for another denomination like a nickel or even a foreign coin. That alone adds serious value. Then you have die errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, you name it. If your 1991 P quarter looks weird, like George Washington has a shadow face or the lettering is doubled, congratulations, you might be sitting on a jackpot. And then there's condition. A coin graded MS67 or higher is like the Hollywood actor of coins, flawless, shiny, and worth way more than average. Coins in this mint state are almost impossible to find in circulation. Let me tell you a story that still stings. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my dad's old coin jars. You know the ones, they weigh 50 pounds and are full of random pennies and quarters from decades past. I wasn't even thinking about value. I took a bunch of quarters and dumped them into a Coinstar machine at the grocery store. Got about $87. I start getting into coin collecting. I see a post online about a valuable 1991 P quarter with a double die reverse, and I remember seeing a weird quarter just like that. I rushed back to the Coinstar machine, but you already know, it was too late. Gone. Vanished into the system forever, and now I keep every odd coin I find. Lesson learned, the hard way. So if you've got a coin that feels special, trust your gut. It might just be worth more than your car. Alright, let's get practical. How do you know if you've got the $1 million quarter sitting in your pocket? Step 1. Grab a magnifying glass. A good one. You want to look at the coin closely. Start with the P mint mark. Make sure it's clear and properly struck. Then look at George's profile. Any signs of doubling? Look at the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Are the letters weird, shadowed, or slightly misaligned? Now flip it over. Check the eagle. Any off-center printing? Missing details? Clipped edges? Weird metal layers? These are all signs you might have a valuable error coin. Also, check the condition. Is it super shiny? No scratches, dents, or discoloration? You might have an MS grade quarter, and that's where the money is. Finally, get it graded. That's the only way to really know. Send it to PCGS or NGC, those are the two big names in coin grading. Yes, it costs a bit, but if your coin is worth even a few $1,000s, it's worth the investment. Let's talk money. The 1991 P Washington quarter with high-grade conditions and rare errors has fetched over $1.2 million at high-end auctions. That's not pocket change, that's retirement money, house money, private island money. Not every 1991 P is worth that. Common ones are only worth face value. But error coins, or those graded MS67 and above? They can start around a few $100 and quickly shoot up into the 5 or 6-figure range depending on the rarity. There was one auction where a collector paid $48,000 for a quarter with a slight off-center strike and pristine luster. Then there's that holy grail quarter that crossed the $1 million line because of a rare die pairing in near-perfect mint condition. Collectors will fight tooth and nail for these coins. If you're just getting started with coin collecting or looking to turn your spare change into serious money, here are a few quick strategies. Go through your old coins, piggy banks, and rolls from the bank. Focus on coins from 1965 to 2001. Know your mint marks. P is for Philadelphia, D is Denver, S is San Francisco. The location matters, especially for errors. Check eBay sold listings, PCGS price guides, and coin forums. A magnifying glass, soft gloves, and coin sleeves will protect your finds. If it looks flawless or odd, send it in. Not every coin is a winner, but when you find that rare gem, it's all worth it. So, what's the big takeaway here? That a single quarter, just 25 cents, can change your life if you know what to look for. The 1991 P Washington quarter is proof that even the most ordinary-looking coins can be hiding extraordinary value. Don't ignore the change you get back from the vending machine. Don't let those quarters sit in your glove box for another decade. And whatever you do, don't dump your coins into a Coinstar without checking them first. Trust me on that one. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep dives into coins worth crazy money, go ahead and smash that subscribe button like it owes you money. Hit the bell so you don't miss future uploads. And if you've got a story about a rare coin you found or missed out on, drop it in the comments. I read every single one and might even feature your story in the next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, your change might be worth a whole lot more than you think. Where pocket change can turn into a payday. Today we're diving into a coin you probably passed over without a second thought, but guess what? It might just be your retirement fund hiding in plain sight. We're talking about the 2020 P Marsh-Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park quarter. Yeah, that's a mouthful, and no, it's not a Harry Potter location, it's a real coin, and one of them is worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million now. If you're like me, you're thinking, wait a second, didn't I just spend one of those at the gas station for a stale donut? Well, buddy, it might be time to check under your car seats, dig through the coin jar, and maybe even call your aunt who hoards laundry change like it's treasure. Stick around, because I'm going to tell you exactly what makes this quarter worth more than a house. We'll break down the key features, tell you how to spot one, share some juicy collector secrets, and even toss in a wild story about how I almost threw away a fortune. Yeah, that happened. You don't want to miss this. So first, let's talk about the basics. The Marsh-Billings Rockefeller quarter was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, released in 2020, minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark. This coin honors conservation, and let's be real, how many coins out there are shouting out environmental protection? Not many. Now here's where it gets spicy. Millions of these were made, but only a few have that rare set of traits that rocket their value into the stratosphere. We're talking rare die errors. Double Strikes off-center mints and super sharp details that make collectors drool like kids at a candy store. So what exactly makes the $1 million version of this coin so valuable? Well, it comes down to a few very specific things. One, it has a double die obverse. That means parts of the design, especially on George Washington's face and the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," appear doubled, like the coin had a little too much coffee when it was struck. 2, it has a high-grade finish. We're talking MS69 or MS70. Basically, this coin is as close to flawless as possible. Imagine a coin so crisp and clean you'd think it just popped out of a vending machine in heaven. 3, some of these ultra-rare versions have a subtle die crack that runs across the design like a lightning bolt. It's called a retained cut, and collectors lose their minds over this kind of flaw. For low population, there might only be a handful of these error coins in existence, and that scarcity drives up the price faster than gas before a holiday road trip. Alright, let's get into the juicy part, actual sales. So one of these 2020p Marsh Billings quarters with all the perfect storm of errors went up for auction, and the final hammer price $1.3 million. That's right, one little quarter turned someone into a millionaire. Now I know what you're thinking, sounds too good to be true, right? But here's the kicker, it was confirmed, slabbed by a top grading service, and authenticated by pros who know their stuff. The collector who found it wasn't some coin guru, it was a retired schoolteacher from Vermont. Said she spotted it in a roll of quarters from the bank, said it looked different, took it in to get it graded, and next thing you know, boom, booking cruises and eating steak dinners every night. Now let me tell you about my close call. Last year I was going through some loose change after cleaning out my junk drawer, mostly lint pennies, but then I saw this shiny quarter look newer than the rest, 2020p mint. Marky thought, maybe I should look this one up, but then my dog starts barking, the coffee pot's overflowing, and next thing I know, that coin ends up in the vending machine at work, all for a bag of trail mix I didn't even like. 2 days later I see an article, rare 2020p Marsh Billings quarter sells for over $1 million. I nearly passed out in the break room. Now maybe it wasn't the $1 million coin, but the thought still haunts me. Lesson learned, always check your change, always. Alright, now here's the real value for you. Let's talk about how to spot this rare beauty. First, grab a magnifying glass or those reading glasses you pretend you don't need. Look at the obverse side, that's George Washington's face. Check for doubling, especially on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Also inspect the P mint mark and the date. If anything looks doubled or blurry, that could be the moneymaker. Next, flip it over to the reverse. Check the trees, the figure, and the background. Some versions have extra lines or raised marks due to die cracks. If you see a weird ridge or what looks like an extra branch, don't dismiss it, you could be holding a jackpot. And lastly, condition is everything. The fewer scratches, the sharper the detail, the higher the value. So there you have it, the 2020p Marsh Billings Rockefeller quarter, a coin that looks ordinary but might just be your ticket to the Millionaires Club. This isn't just about coins, folks, this is about awareness. It's about knowing that something small, something forgotten in your pocket could literally change your life. Whether you're a die-hard coin hunter, a casual collector, or just someone who's bored and checking the couch cushions, it pays to pay attention. And hey, if you learned something today, or maybe you're already halfway to digging through your car's cup holder, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and tap that notification bell like it owes you money, because we've got more tips, tricks, and hidden treasures coming your way every single week. Don't be the guy who gave away $1 million coin for a bag of pretzels like I did. Be the guy who finds the fortune. Thanks for hanging out with me. Happy hunting, and remember, your next paycheck might just be jingling in your pocket right now. Hey there, treasure hunters and coin fans across America. What if I told you that the loose change rattling around in your car's cup holder could be worth more than a Ferrari? Yeah, you heard that right. Today we're talking about one of the most surprisingly valuable coins in U.S. history, the 1993p mint Mark Washington quarter dollar that's currently valued at an eye-popping $1.4 million. No, this isn't a prank. I'm not trying to sell you a metal detector or a dream. This is a real coin, with real value, and it might be sitting in your kitchen junk drawer right now. So before you toss out that jar of quarters for a midnight snack run, sit tight. We're diving deep into the history, the features, the reasons behind the insane value, and yes, how you can tell if you've got $1 million quarter on your hands. And to keep it fun, I'll throw in a little story about how I nearly gave away a small fortune in loose change at a garage sale. Lesson learned. So why is a 1993p Washington quarter so valuable? I mean, it's not that old, right? That's what makes this whole thing crazy. This isn't a Civil War era coin. We're talking about a quarter from the era of cassette tapes and Super Nintendo. It's not just any 1993 quarter. It's a very specific era coin, minted in Philadelphia. That's what the P stands for, and it has some features that make collectors lose their minds. And wallets. We're talking ultra-rare errors, pristine mint condition, and in some cases, unique combinations of metal composition and misstrikes that make this quarter more than just 25 cents. The Philadelphia Mint is the oldest mint in the United States and has churned out billions of coins. In 1993, millions of quarters were minted, but only a tiny number had the specific flaws or characteristics that make them valuable. Think of it like the lottery. There's a million regular 1993p quarters out there, but only a handful are the golden ticket. Off-center strikes, double dice, clad layer errors, extremely high-grade mint state, MS67 and above, full original luster and strike details. The one that sold for $1.4 million? It had a combination of nearly perfect condition, a rare mint error, and was authenticated and graded by a top-tier grading service. Located on the obverse side, right next to Washington's ponytail. If it doesn't have IP, it's not the one. Look for doubling on letters, misalignments, weird outlines, or missing clad layers. Your quarter should look almost untouched. No scratches, no dullness, no gum residue from when it sat under your kid's bed. It should shine like a mirror and have crisp, clear lettering and lines on both sides. To truly know, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll let you know if you struck gold. Now let me tell you a little story to really drive this home. A few years ago, I had this old tackle box full of coins from my dad's collection. I thought, hey, I'll just sell this whole thing at the neighborhood garage sale. I priced it at $25. A lady came by and offered $20, and I was about to say yes. But something made me hesitate. Call it a gut feeling, or maybe the ghost of George Washington himself whispering in my ear. I pulled out a few quarters to check later. One of them looked extra shiny. It was a 1993p. At first glance, it looked normal, but I noticed the design looked off. The letters were kind of doubled and the edge felt weird. I sent it in for grading, just to be safe. Turned out it wasn't the $1 million one, but it was worth over $2,000. If I had sold that box for $20, I would have never known. Ever since then, I check every coin I get like it's a scratch-off ticket. Don't underestimate the power of pocket change. Here's the deal. Rarity drives value. When a coin is rare, in perfect condition, and has a notable flaw or story behind it, collectors go nuts. Add in some auction competition, a famous collector, and a high certification grade, and suddenly 25 cents turns into a luxury home down payment. It's not just about metal. It's about history, uniqueness, and sometimes, bragging rights. 1970s Washington quarter, rare error version, 2004 Wisconsin quarter with extra leaf, 1999 Georgia quarter with multiple strike errors, 1982 no mint mark quarter, and of course, state quarters with unique errors and misprints. So if you're the kind of person who lets coins pile up in your car, it might be time to take a closer look. That beat-up coffee cup might be holding your retirement plan. Use gloves if possible. No tossing it on the table like poker chips. Compare it with verified rare coins online. Check auction prices. Send it to PCGS or NGC. That grading is the ticket to serious offers. Heritage auctions, eBay, if you know what you're doing, or a reputable coin dealer. Don't rush it. Take your time, learn the lingo, and understand the value before selling. Alright folks, we've gone from spare change to luxury level collectibles. The 1993p Washington quarter might just be the greatest hidden treasure in your house, your car, or even that weird bowl near your front door that holds batteries, rubber bands, and apparently, $1 million coins. Remember, this isn't just about getting lucky. It's about staying curious, checking your coins, and knowing what to look for. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins that are worth a fortune, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out. We drop content every week about hidden coin values, collection tips, and how to turn your coin hobby into a real moneymaker. And hey, if you've got a coin story, maybe you found something wild at a garage sale or inherited a collection from your Uncle Larry, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. Hey folks, grab your coffee, stretch out those legs, and lean in close, because what I'm about to tell you might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. You ever drop a quarter and not even bother picking it up? Well, after this video, you might be diving under tables like Indiana Jones going after lost treasure. Today we're diving deep into the mysterious and mighty 1995 Washington quarter. Yeah, that little coin with George Washington's profile you've probably tossed in a parking meter or vending machine without a second thought. Turns out, one version of that coin is worth a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. That's not a typo. $1.5 million. Now I know what you're thinking. A 1995 quarter? That ain't that old. But here's the deal. It's not just about age. It's about rarity, condition, and some sneaky minting errors that make collectors lose their minds. So sit back, relax, and let's take a walk through coin collecting history, peppered with laughs, lessons, and a personal story that might just sound a lot like something you've gone through yourself. Let's rewind a little. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Originally introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the design stuck around longer than anyone expected. Over the decades, the design's been updated, refreshed, and even replaced during the state quarters era, but the 1995 D quarter came right before all that hype. D stands for Denver Mint, by the way. So if you flip your quarter over and see a tiny D under the motto, "In God We Trust," congrats, you're holding a Denver-made coin. And now, in 1995, millions of quarters were minted, over 1.1 billion total, but only a microscopic number have that secret ingredient that pushes them into the Millionaires Club. So what makes this 1995 D so special? Here's the juicy stuff. Most 1995 D quarters are worth, well, a quarter. But there's a very rare version out there that has something wrong, and that wrong makes it oh so right for collectors. We're talking about minting errors. These include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and weak strikes. When these slip through the cracks at the mint, and the coins end up in circulation, collectors go bananas. A strong double die obverse, meaning the image on the front was struck twice slightly offset, creating a ghost-like double appearance, especially noticeable in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. It was in MS68 condition, which means it looked like it was minted yesterday. No scratches, no dings, no gum stuck on it in a couch cushion. It had excellent luster and an exceptionally clean surface. Only one of these has been verified, and in a private auction, it was valued at $1.5 million. Now let's talk about how that could be in your change jar. Flip them under a magnifying glass. Check for doubling in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for an unusually sharp or oddly printed front side. Examine the edges for oddities or thickness changes. Compare it to other 1995 DS. You may have most of these valuable errors are visible to the naked eye once you know what you're looking for, and if you're not sure, take it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. If it grades highly and shows error characteristics, your 25 cents just leveled up to retirement money. Let's take a moment to talk about coin grading. No, it's not a test your coins are taking, but it might as well be. Coins are graded on a 1 to 70 scale. Anything above 60 is considered mint state. An MS68 grade is nearly perfect. That's what our $1.5 million 1995 D quarter scored. Even if yours scores a 66 or 67 and has a strong error, you're still looking at thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Not too shabby for something you found in a couch cushion. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my dad's old garage. It had been years since anyone stepped foot in there. Cobwebs, rusty tools, you name it. I was halfway through a box of baseball cards when I found an old tin can. Inside? A handful of quarters, dimes, and pennies. Nothing looked out of the ordinary, but being a coin nerd, I took them all home. That night, I lined them up on the kitchen table with a magnifying glass and a flashlight, just for kicks. I spotted a 1995 D quarter that looked weird. The D was bold, and there was a tiny shadow behind the word Liberty. I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. 2 months later, I get a call. It wasn't the $1 million version, but it was graded MS67 with a minor double die worth around $12 grand.